The night that changed everything did not arrive with warning or mercy. One moment, headlights cut through the rain like trembling prayers, and the next, metal screamed, glass shattered, and the world that Emma Richardson had built with ruthless precision collapsed into darkness. By morning, the woman who once ruled boardrooms, commanded billion-dollar deals, and never slowed for anyone was lying in a hospital bed, unable to move her legs, staring at a ceiling that felt lower than the ground she had fallen from. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and miracles that arrive through unexpected people, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. This story is for those who believe that broken wings can still learn to fly. Emma Richardson was not born powerful, she became powerful. Raised in a modest Christian household in Ohio, she learned discipline early, faith quietly, and ambition fiercely. By her early 40s, she was the CEO of a cutting-edge technology firm in Chicago, admired by investors and feared by competitors. Her calendar was always full, her phone never silent, her heart rarely still. She donated to charities, attended church on Christmas, and believed success was proof of divine favor. She told herself she was grateful, but she rarely felt it. There was always another meeting, another deal, another mountain to climb. The accident happened on a lonely stretch of interstate outside Indianapolis after a late-night investor meeting. Rain turned the road slick, exhaustion slowed her reflexes, and a truck jackknifed in front of her car. When she woke up, the pain was distant, but the truth was not. The doctors spoke carefully, their words wrapped in medical language and false optimism. Severe spinal trauma, nerve damage, paralysis from the waist down. Walking again was unlikely, very unlikely. In the days that followed, Emma's world shrank to a hospital room and the weight of her own thoughts. The CEO, who once controlled hundreds of employees, could not sit up without help. Nurses turned her in bed like fragile cargo. Visitors came at first, colleagues with flowers and practiced sympathy, but soon the visits slowed. Board members began discussing temporary replacements. Emails turned shorter. Her company, her identity, was moving on without her. Anger became her closest companion. She prayed, but the prayers felt hollow, bouncing off the ceiling. She asked God why, but the answers did not come. She measured her worth by what she could do, and now she could do almost nothing. The world she once flew through now passed her by, and she felt grounded in the most cruel way. After weeks in a private hospital, Emma was transferred to a smaller rehabilitation center in a quieter part of Illinois. It was not the elite facility she expected. The walls were older, the hallways narrower, the equipment worn but clean. This was where she met Dr. Michael Carter. Michael Carter was not famous. He did not publish groundbreaking research or speak at international conferences. He was a rehabilitation physician who chose this underfunded center because it served people no one else wanted. He lived simply, drove an old sedan, and volunteered at his church on weekends. His salary barely covered his student loans, but his faith was rich and steady. He believed healing was not just about muscles and nerves, but about restoring hope where it had died. When Dr. Carter took over Emma's care, he saw what others missed. Beneath the sharp words, the impatience, and the controlled despair was a woman who had lost her sense of purpose. Her body was injured, yes, but her spirit was crushed. He did not promise miracles. He did not speak in grand terms. He simply showed up every day, consistent and calm, pushing her gently but firmly, refusing to let her disappear into self-pity. Rehabilitation was brutal. Physical therapy sessions left Emma exhausted and humiliated. She failed more often than she succeeded. Her arms trembled from holding her own weight. Her legs remained silent, unresponsive. Some nights she cried quietly, ashamed of her weakness. Other nights she lay awake, staring into the dark, wondering if this was how the rest of her life would be measured. What unsettled her most was Dr. Carter's belief in her. He spoke of progress not in steps, but in strength, balance, and control. He told her that walking was not the only definition of movement. He talked about neuroplasticity, about the brain learning new pathways, about patience. He prayed for her sometimes, silently, respectfully, never forcing faith, only offering it. Months passed. Emma's company officially replaced her as CEO. The news hit harder than the diagnosis. She felt erased. The title that once defined her was gone. She was no longer indispensable. In that loss, something unexpected happened. With nothing left to protect, she began to soften. She listened more. She allowed herself to feel gratitude for small victories, sitting upright without help, transferring to a wheelchair, wheeling herself down the hallway without assistance. Dr. Carter introduced her to advanced adaptive therapies, many of them experimental, often overlooked because they were time-intensive and not profitable. Balance harnesses, virtual reality training, upper body conditioning designed to create freedom rather than limitation. He told her the goal was not to return to who she was, but to discover who she could become. One afternoon, during a therapy session that pushed her to the edge of collapse, something shifted. Suspended in a harness, supported but challenged, Emma felt a strange sensation. Not movement in her legs, but something else. Control. Lift. The ability to rise above the floor, even if artificially supported. For the first time since the accident, she did not feel trapped by gravity. She felt elevated. She felt, in her words later, like she was flying. That feeling changed everything. Emma began to train with obsession, not to walk, but to master mobility. She learned advanced wheelchair techniques, adaptive sports, and even assisted aerial therapy designed to rebuild confidence and coordination. She worked until her arms burned and her lungs begged for rest. Dr. Carter guided her carefully, always watching, always protecting, never limiting her vision. Faith returned slowly, not as a demand for healing, but as gratitude for life. Emma began attending the small chapel at the center, sitting quietly in the back, listening. She realized how much of her life had been spent chasing control rather than purpose. In losing her ability to walk, she found the courage to let go. The day Emma left the rehabilitation center, she did not walk out. She rolled out, strong, upright, and unashamed. Her arms were powerful, her posture confident. She hugged Dr. Carter, overwhelmed by emotion she could barely name. He had not given her legs back. He had given her something greater, the ability to rise above loss. Back in Chicago, Emma did not return to her old life. She built a new one. Using her wealth and experience, she founded a nonprofit focused on funding rehabilitation centers, adaptive technology, and medical programs in underserved communities. She made sure doctors like Michael Carter had the resources they needed to help people the world had forgotten. Her story spread. Media outlets called her transformation inspirational. They spoke about resilience, innovation, and triumph. But Emma knew the truth. This was not a story about success. It was a story about surrender, about a poor doctor with rich faith who saw worth where others saw damage. If this story is touching your heart, if it reminds you that hope can come from the most unexpected places, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who is struggling, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. Years later, Emma returned to the rehabilitation center, now expanded and fully funded. She watched patients train, struggle, and smile through pain. She saw herself in them. She gave a quiet prayer of thanks, not for the accident, but for the grace that followed it. Before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with the word hope if you believe that no life is ever truly grounded, no matter how broken it feels. Emma Richardson never walked again, but she learned to soar above bitterness, fear, and loss. She learned that flight is not about legs or wings, but about faith, compassion, and the courage to rise when life pushes you to the ground. And in that way, she flew higher than she ever had before.